Morning everyone. Bernard here, President of the Small Ruminants Association. I wish everybody a happy new year, a prosperous new year, and also, all the best that life has to give. I am going to speak today about importation of goats and some of the aspects of what affects this process. So it will be quite an interesting video today. So one of the first steps is for us to contact the veterinarian division of Jamaica. As you all know that they are an arm of the government of Jamaica, or the Ministry of Agriculture, and they set all the rules that governs the importation of animals as it pertains to all the diseases and what the requirements are to import animals into this country. As you know, the veterinarian division of Jamaica is a very strict organization. They really have a very difficult job to perform because they have to protect Jamaica against all the diseases that don't exist here in Jamaica. So they really do have a difficult job, and sometimes it seems that it becomes overbearing because of the requirements are so strict. But I just want you to know that it's really to protect our country against all the different things that can be imported here. Sometimes I think it can be improved, some of the rules, and as usual, everything needs improvement, so we have to work with what we have now. When you receive the license or the requirements for the VSD, then I think the most difficult part of this process is really, where are you now going to buy these animals abroad? So everybody been buying in the United States so far, but who will be the supplier? Who's going to supply you these animals? This is one of the difficult and the most difficult things to do, because when you look at it, you're going to send your money abroad to buy these animals to probably people that you don't have a relationship with, or you're not aware of their farms, because there are so many farms in the United States, so many different things. You have the auctions, you have so many different places that these animals can come from. And how do you trust when you send your money abroad that you're going to get value for money? I personally is now facing a situation where I have purchased goats, and in doing so I sent my money to pay for the animals, and I did not receive 2 of my animals. And this was not my fault. The supplier did not send the animals for various reasons, which was not my fault. And now we are at this juncture, and the supplier tell me that they are not going to refund the money. I have paid the shipping costs, I have paid the veterinarian fees, transportation, I have paid for everything, and the animals were not shipped. And they have now told me that the money is non-refundable. And also, they have also said that they are going to sell the animals. Well, they have sold the animals, and that money is also lost. We cannot recover it back. These are some of the rules that they set over there, and we are being ripped off. And I'm not the only casualty of this. I'm telling you, it is happening. So there is a great trust problem involved, and I don't even know what the recourse is going to be. Now, when you talk to some of these suppliers, they sound very beautiful on the outside, but on the inside they are rotten, and you have to be so careful when you're making these purchases. I'm telling you the truth, so far I haven't really seen any suppliers, brokers, or whatever you want to call them, that are really trustworthy, and that you're not, once you work with them, you're not going to go through extreme risk and extreme stress. So I just want to warn all of you, don't just go sending your money all over the place to people and buying goats. There are some good goats that came, but there are some very bad goats that also came. As you know, the standard is that they quarantine the animals for 2 weeks out at the airport, and then there is a secondary quarantine that exists where the animals go on a pre-prescribed farm that is chosen or have to be accepted by the veterinarian division. And animals have died on the secondary quarantine facility and also on the main quarantine facility. I think there were issues of extreme worm burdens and other issues that have existed. So this is what is happening. I would also like to say that you know, this is really a great thing that is happening in Jamaica. We have some good genetics coming here, and we also have situations of you know, changing the landscape with the type of genetics and some of the things that are coming here. But you have to be careful. You have to really be careful. I have volunteered my time, and there are others who have volunteered their time to help the Small Ruminants Association, and you know, to help with the improvement of goat rearing, sheep rearing in Jamaica. Now, when we take on this task, we have decided that we are going to put country and the people first. So we are here to help people. This is what my, you know, my mission is, and you know, members of the fraternity. Also, the ministry and the Ministry of Agriculture and the government, they are working very hard to improve this sector. They are spending a lot of money in it, and they are also facilitating us as farmers to import animals. For example, the waiver of GCT, and they have made it a lot easier with the customs side of it and so forth, which is also a very good thing. So with all of these improvements, quite a number of shipments of goats have come to this country, and I'm very happy for that. Whenever you select your broker or, you know, a farm, or select animals to be sent here to Jamaica, they go through a quarantine facility or a quarantine in the United States. I think this is about a month or so. There are various tests that the animals go through, and the USDA is involved in this process. After this quarantine, the animals go to the airport, and they probably will spend a day or two and make preparation to ship them to Jamaica. This is a very, very, very formal and a very detailed process. So you have to be very vigilant in this process, because you are dealing with middlemen, farmers, and other agencies, and it is so easy to be deceived. Also, the registry is another side of it. You have to be careful whether you're buying purebred, full-bred animals from the United States. The paperwork is very important, and I can tell you that so far, I think it's probably going close to 2 years now, I have not received any of my paperwork. I get a lot of promises, but I haven't received it as yet. And to date, I know that some farmers who have imported have gotten some paperwork, but I think quite a lot of them have not received their paperwork as yet. So this is the sort of things that are happening. You have to check every single thing and be on top of everything. You have to be on top of everything as you go along. Our registry in Jamaica is not yet ready. I know that they are working on it because they speak about it from time to time, and as you know, it's the government that is procuring this process. So what I've seen farmers been doing, or what's been happening, is that we continue to register the animals in the United States and get paperwork for them as we go along. So the registry can continue as we do this in the United States. Now, one of the things is I wanted to also tell you that when you look at pictures of animals online or you see these pictures, the farmers or the people over there, they groom these animals to look very good. They use starch and different things on their hair to make it stand up, to make the animal look superficially, you know, very intact. They also groom them and cut their hair in a special way to make their back legs and to make their body look a lot bigger than it actually is. They use camera tricks, all different kind of things. It is very difficult for you to tell by just a picture what you're buying. You really need to be seeing on the ground what you're buying. Or you also would have to trust that supplier, that broker. You really have to have a lot of trust in that supplier and broker. And I haven't seen anyone that I would say I would recommend right now. When you look at animals that are coming out of a state fair, and you know, you might have a champion that is coming out of a state fair. So a state fair are these fairs that happen, you know, within each state. You might have 6 or so of them. A lot of children run these state fairs. They come, they show their animals, and on that day of the show, it's really what is presented at the state show. It's not necessarily the best of what exists. It's just some animals that are shown at the state show. Now, it's not necessarily, it's not good for you to even say that, well, this ram came from a state show, so that means, or it's a champion from the state show, and that means that this animal is a good animal. That doesn't matter, because it's really what is presented on that day. So, for example, I will explain it to you in this way. If we had a show in Trelawney, or maybe St. Mary, when you have the show in St. Mary, the rule now is that it's only animals that are in St. Mary that is shown at the St. Mary show in Jamaica now. And on that day, as I said before, is only what comes to the show that is shown. So you could have a ram that is the champion of that show, but that ram could never go to the Denby show. He would never be even placed. So you have to understand that. So in the United States, you might have maybe 100 or 200 animals that enter now the national championship. This is the big championship in the United States for the goats. And you might have 200 animals or 100 animals enter into that show. And from the first pickings, only 6 make it to the ring for real judging. And this is how the national championship, and those animals that come out of that national championship is usually the best of the best. That's usually what happens. So I don't want you to go and look and, you know, let people tell you that, oh, this animal is a, you know, is a champion. That means nothing. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say to you. It really means nothing. What really matters a lot is the pedigree of the animal and the physically how the animal looks. This is what matters, pedigree and how he looks. You look at that genetics, you know, where the animal is coming from. And, you know, does the animal have the necessary aptitude that is going to make your herd or improve your herd? This is what you have to look at. I remember back in November, there was a ram that was sold. I'm going to try and share those pictures with you. That was sold for $45,500 US. I don't even think that animal went to any show, but somebody bought him for that kind of money. And when an animal is bought for that kind of money, that animal will never end up in a show. That animal just going to go on a farm and nobody will show that animal because he has been at the top of his class right now, and it is not important to show him anywhere. So if you buy a ram out of that ram that went to that farm, can you imagine what you might have gotten? So you have to look at all these things. So what is my recommendation here now in terms of moving forward and who you should trust and where you need to get advice from? Now, I'm always here for advice, but I'm also not the best person because I don't cover both the United States and what is happening here in Jamaica. The person that I recommend is Mr. Miller from Miller's Farm. I have found him to be a reputable person, and he is the best person to give you advice. Mr. Miller has imported animals to this country a couple of times now. He's on the ground in the United States. He visits farms all over the United States. He's at the auctions. He's everywhere. And he also have a very, very good understanding of what happens in the United States. And he's very, very knowledgeable with a lot of the farms and a lot of the brokers and a lot of people in the United States. And he's also a farmer, just like myself, when we grew up with goats as little children coming up. So he's very knowledgeable on the goats. He is the best person to get advice from. And also, he has his farm here in Jamaica. He's here very often in Jamaica. And you know, when you look at his farm, he has one of the best farms in Jamaica that I've seen so far. He's always changing his farm, innovating and making changes. I know for certain that he tells me that he's going to pull his farm down more than half of his farm and totally renovate it again. So he's always improving his farm and improving his facility. And he has a wealth of knowledge. This is the go-to person that I recommend for advice, Mr. Miller from Miller's Farm. And he's also involved in AI, embryo transplant. He buys goats, have them in the United States, and he's doing all these different kind of things. And he's one of the persons who I believe is putting his country first and also wants to help people in Jamaica. And we can see the massive amount of investment that he has made into his country. So finally in this video, I wanted you to understand, because I wanted you to know what is happening so far in the importation of animals. We did a lot of work to let this process to start happen. There were a lot of issues, a lot of problems that we have resolved, and now we are at this juncture. But I wanted farmers to know, number one, that you can get ripped off, that I have been ripped off, and I'm sharing this with you. I also wanted you to know that the Veterinary Division of Jamaica is working with us, and they are trying to make this happen, because quite a number of goats have come here into Jamaica. I think the leadership genuinely wants to see this sector progress and do well. Also, I have indicated to you the best person to talk to, the best person to get advice, and the best person to really steer you along this path. And I have also indicated to you about all the different aspects of what happens in the United States and some of what happens here. There are some shortcomings and there are some difficulties, but we are trying to improve as we go along. As usual, I am very happy to bring this to you. This is my first video for the year, and I'm so happy to let you know, because I don't really want anybody to be losing money. I don't want anybody to be getting bad products. I don't want anybody to be suffering and wasting their money. So I'm really happy to let you know what is really happening and how I see it, and give you my recommendations of the best way forward in everything you are doing. Thanks so much for continuing watching me. Thanks so much for all your support. And as usual, I am here to help you all. Blessings.